Hi guys, welcome to an introduction on energy. Today we'll be covering energy, and the goals of this lesson are to gain an understanding of the types of energies and also an understanding of the difference between an energy transfer, and the energy transformation, those terms. So first of all, what is energy? Well, energy is all around us. You can see it in windmills, you can see it in power stations, in water, in trees, in power lines, even in rain, walking a dog. Energy is defined as, or its meaning is, it's the ability to do work. So if you want to go for a walk, you need energy to move. If you want to power this computer that I'm using now, you need energy from the power lines. Energy is the ability to do work. There's many different types of energies. You don't have to know the definition of all of these, but having an understanding of what they are is important. So if I ask you what is mechanical energy, you'll have an idea that it's the energy of motors. Or if I ask chemical energy, what it means, it's the energy stored inside chemical bonds. Kinetic energy is the energy of movement. Gravitational is energy of a gravitational field, like Earth and the Moon have gravitational energy. Elastic energy is the energy which is stored in stretched elastic bands. We've got nuclear energy, energy from nuclear reactors or nuclear power plants. Magnetic energy, which is energy stored in a magnetic field, as well as thermal energy, which is where energy that comes from heat. And sound and light energy, where it's the energy of vibrating matter. So the important ones I want to draw your attention to are chemical energy, kinetic energy, gravitational, and elastic. These are the major ones we'll be talking throughout this unit. So it's important to know that one of the key laws in this topic of energy is that energy cannot be lost or destroyed. It can only be converted from one object to another. So it's impossible to create energy or destroy it. You can only transfer it or transform it from one type of energy to another. So for example, you have a battery over here. The chemical energy in the battery will go to electrical energy in the wires, which will then go to a motor, which will then go to the wheels. So you have chemical energy, which at the end becomes kinetic energy or movement or spinning of the wheels. Just like over here, you've got a hammer. It's gravitational potential energy, so the hammer could fall and hit the nail, which it does. So that potential energy or gravitational potential energy goes into kinetic energy, movement of the hammer, and then the movement of the hammer hits the nail, which gives it mechanical energy to push the nail into the wood. Just as well over here, potential energy, so you've got the elastic band or the wire or the threads strung back. Potential energy there, elastic potential energy, which then moves into kinetic when you release it. So the point of this slide is that energy goes from one type to another. It's not lost, it's not destroyed, or it's not created. It's only transferred or transformed. So these next two slides, energy transfer, energy transformation, these refer to two key terms that you need to have an understanding of. So an energy transfer is when you have the movement of energy from one type of energy to the same type of energy. So for example, this is a picture of Newton's cradle. What's happening here is the ball bearings are moving. So if they're moving, they must have kinetic energy. When the ball bearing moves, it hits this ball bearing here. There's a transfer of kinetic energy to this one over here, which then goes back. So we have kinetic energy up here, movement, going into kinetic energy over here. We have the same type of energy, kinetic, going to kinetic over here. Because the energies are the same, from the same type to the same type, they're called kinetic energies, and therefore they're called energy transfers. An energy transformation is where you have the redirection or the changing of energy types from one type to a different type. So for example, you can have chemical energy in this battery, as I said before, which then moves to the wires. So that's electrical energy, as underlined here. So we started with chemical, we're now electrical. And then that powers a motor over here to make mechanical energy. So we're getting a transformation of energy. So different types of energy being changed as we move along this diagram from left to right. And finally, the wheels spin to make kinetic energy. So we have a transformation of energy because we have different types. This is just another example showing kinetic energy of the wind will spin a wind turbine. That's a transfer there because it's the same type, which then spins the turbines to create electricity, that's a transformation there. This is the summary of the key ideas of this presentation. Energy is in many different forms, as I showed you on the first slide. It cannot be created or destroyed. Cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred from one type to the same, or transformed from one type of energy to a different type. Having an understanding of these terms, energy transfers, transformations, what kinetic energy is, what elastic energy is, and what gravitational energy is important. And these are the questions I'd like you to complete before you come into the next lesson. So choose 3 types of energies from the fourth slide of this presentation. Describe what they are, use an example. Also give an example of what is the difference between an energy transfer and an energy transformation. Draw an energy transformation of the following scenarios. So a battery operated car accelerates along a road and a cricketer hits a ball out of a stadium. Remember that the energy transformation diagrams, they should look like this. They should have the picture with an arrow in between, picture, arrow in between, picture, arrow in between. And finally, comment on the statement and say why it's not true, energy can be lost, and use an example from this PowerPoint to help you answer that. Thanks.